Ladies and gentlemen, let me be brutally honest with you. No one is coming to save you. Not your friends, not your boss, not your family, not the universe. And that's not a reason to panic. It's the most powerful realization you'll ever have. Because the moment you stop waiting for a lifeline and start becoming your own rescue mission, you awaken the warrior inside you. You stop asking for permission and start creating your own path, your own rules, your own destiny. That's when the game changes. Too many people walk through life with a quiet hope that someone, something, someday will swoop in and fix everything. They wait for the timing to be right. They wait for motivation to show up. They wait for the fear to fade, for the pain to pass, for the perfect plan to fall into their lap. And while they wait, life passes them by. Warriors don't wait. They move. They act with intensity, not because it's easy, but because they refuse to be passive participants in their own story. A warrior doesn't flinch at adversity. They expect it. They train for it. They know that every obstacle is an invitation to rise, to sharpen their edge, to harden their spirit. When life punches, they don't cry for help. They dig deeper. They don't look around asking, why me? They look in the mirror and say, try me. Because ownership is power. As long as you think your success depends on someone else, you've handed them your future. But when you own your fight, your pain, your story, you become unstoppable. This isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming strong. It's not about isolation. It's about leadership. A warrior mind, said, isn't built in comfort or convenience. It's forged in moments of decision. When you're tired, overwhelmed, alone, and you still choose to rise, you still choose to push. You still choose to show up not because someone told you to, but because you told yourself you would. And warriors never break their word to themselves. Look back on your life. Every time you overcame something hard, every time you survived what you thought would break you, that was your inner warrior standing up. Even if you didn't recognize it, even if you were scared, you still fought. You still pushed through. That same power lives in you right now, but it's not accessed by waiting. It's unlocked through choice, through commitment, through courage, not someday, now. Every time you take responsibility instead of blaming others, you level up. Every time you take a hit and choose to stand back up, you grow armor. Every time you decide to take action when it would be easier to retreat, you step closer to becoming a weapon forged in fire, not a victim frozen by fear. That's what owning your battle looks like. It's not glamorous. It's not loud, but it's real. It's the moment you stop saying, I hope things change, and start declaring, I will change them. You want to change your life, start by changing who's in charge of your mind. Right now, your thoughts are either your fuel or your chains. They're either lifting you up or dragging you down, and the brutal truth is this. Most people are prisoners inside their own heads. They don't even realize that they've handed control over to fear, doubt, anxiety, and excuses. But a warrior doesn't let the mind run wild like an untrained beast. A warrior grabs the reins. A warrior commands the mind, not obeys it. Every thought you allow to live in your head becomes a seed, and those seeds grow into beliefs, into emotions, into actions, into outcomes. You think you're not enough, that thought festers. You think it's too hard, that becomes your ceiling. You think you're tired, broken, unworthy, stuck. Then guess what? Your actions will reflect that story. But when you shift into a warrior mindset, you stop letting your thoughts define your direction. You define them. You take every limiting belief and smash it to pieces. You replace it with intention, with power, with clarity. Imagine walking into battle with your enemy whispering in your ear, telling you to turn around, telling you to quit, telling you you'll never win. That's what it's like when you let your mind run without command. But when you master your mind, you become the commander of your inner battlefield. You choose your focus. You create your state. You decide what voice gets the mic. And the voice that leads, that's the one that wins. Too many people are living in reaction mode. They let circumstances dictate their mood. They let setbacks decide their worth. They let other people's opinions shape their self-image. That's not power. That's slavery. That's surrendering the most sacred territory you have, your own mind. A warrior sees the mind as a weapon. It must be sharpened. It must be disciplined. It must be trained to serve you, not sabotage you. And here's where the shift happens. You stop waiting to feel strong, and you start training your mind to be strong, because feelings are fleeting, but identity is constant. If you see yourself as weak, you'll always act from weakness. But if you stand up and say, I am the kind of person who leads my thoughts, not follows them, you begin to take back control, you start breaking patterns, you catch the negative spiral before it begins. You speak power into your own life instead of waiting for the world to do it for you. Every single day you have a choice. Be the commander or be the captive. The mind is a tool. Use it, or it will use you. When the noise gets loud, you get louder. When fear creeps in, you call it out. When excuses show up, you cut them off at the root. This is your territory. This is your domain. And a warrior doesn't allow invaders to rule their kingdom. A warrior fortifies the gates, stands tall in the chaos, and rewrites the script inside their own head until it matches the life they were born to lead. Most people spend their lives avoiding pain like it's a plague, as if discomfort is the enemy. But what they don't realize is that the very thing they're running from is the only thing that can make them unbreakable. Pain is not your punishment, it's your trainer. It's the gym where your mental strength is built, where your character is sculpted, where your spirit is refined. If you want to develop the warrior mindset, you have to stop fearing pain and start respecting it. Stop backing away from it and start stepping into it like you were born for it. Because you were. Pain isn't random. It's a message, it's feedback, it's the language of growth. It shows up not to break you, but to build you. It reveals where you're weak so you can become strong. It exposes the lies you've been living under so you can face the truth. Every ache, every failure, every disappointment is a personal invitation to rise above your former self and step into a new version of power. But most people don't see it that way. They feel pain and immediately search for comfort. They look for the exit. They numb, avoid, quit. A warrior, they lean in. They feel the burn and keep pushing, because they know that on the other side of pain is power. They don't fear the fire. They walk through it. Because that fire doesn't destroy them, it forges them. Ask any person who's ever done something extraordinary. Their path wasn't paved in comfort. It was carved through sleepless nights, broken hearts, shattered limits, and relentless pain. That's where the warrior lives, in the pressure, in the heat, in the stretch. The truth is, growth doesn't happen in the easy. It happens when your muscles are shaking, when your mind is screaming for relief, when everything in you wants to quit, but you don't. That moment right there, that break point, is the exact place where transformation begins. Most people run from it. Warriors run toward it, because they know that comfort might feel good now, but it costs you everything later. Pain might feel brutal now, but it pays dividends for life. It rewires your brain. It conditions your discipline. It crushes ego and replaces it with real, earned confidence. You can't fake the lessons pain teaches you. You can't short-cut the wisdom that comes from getting knocked down and choosing to rise again and again and again. Every scar you carry, every loss you've taken, every tear you've cried in silence, they all count. They're all evidence that you're still standing, and the more pain you've survived, the more power you hold, but only if you choose to use it. Only if you choose to let it mold you instead of define you. That's what separates the warrior from the weak. The ability to embrace pain, to face it head on, and to see it not as a curse, but as a catalyst for greatness. Pain is the path. Resistance is the signal. And if you have the guts to walk that path, you won't just survive. You'll evolve into something unstoppable. Everyone wants the rewards of discipline, but few are willing to live by it. Most people are waiting for the motivation to strike like lightning, for the mood to feel right, for the energy to magically appear. But warriors, true warriors, don't wait to feel ready. They act because they've decided who they are. They show up not when it's convenient, but regardless of convenience. That's what makes discipline the most powerful armor you'll ever wear. It's not about hype or intensity. It's about consistency, grit, and an unshakable commitment to your own standard. You can't rely on your feelings to build greatness. Feelings lie, emotions fluctuate. One day you're fired up, the next you're drained and defeated. If you only show up when it feels good, you'll never rise. Warriors understand that emotion follows action, not the other way around. They build rituals, systems, anchors that keep them locked in even when the fire's gone out. They train their body and mind to operate with structure. They don't negotiate with laziness. They don't argue with excuses. They execute. Think of it like this: every time you show up for your goal, even when you don't feel like it, you're casting a vote for the person you're becoming. Every early morning, every tough rep, every painful decision to say no to comfort and yes to growth. It stacks, it compounds, and eventually it becomes who you are. That's when the shift happens. You're no longer someone trying to be disciplined. You become the kind of person who simply is. That identity is the most bulletproof armor you can wear. But discipline isn't sexy. It's not flashy. It's the quiet work behind the scenes when nobody's clapping, nobody's watching, and no one cares. Yet, it's the early mornings when your bed feels like heaven and the grind feels like hell. It's the late nights when distractions are loud and your purpose has to be louder. It's not about being perfect. It's about not negotiating with your own weakness. You don't ask, should I? You already decided. Your rituals are your battlefield routines. Your habits are your armor. You build discipline in the smallest details: the way you wake up, the way you train, the way you speak, the way you eat, the way you push through the things no one else sees, and over time that discipline becomes automatic. It becomes your edge. While others crumble under pressure, you remain sharp. While others skip the reps, you double down. While others fall off after a bad day, you return even harder the next. And here's the truth: you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your discipline. Want to be elite? Then build elite habits. Want to be unstoppable? Then stop relying on hype and start relying on habit. Discipline is the difference between wanting it and living it, between talking about it and becoming it. You don't need to feel like it. You just need to decide that no matter how you feel, you will. Every single day, without fail, without question. That's how warriors are made. Not in the moments of glory, but in the repetition, the structure, the quiet commitment to show up when no one's watching and the world is silent. Focus is not just a tool, it's your weapon in a world built to distract you. It's the sharpened blade that cuts through the noise, the chaos, the constant pull of mediocrity. Most people walk through life scattered, bouncing from one shiny thing to the next, pulled in every direction except the one that actually matters. But a warrior locks in. A warrior knows that diluted effort delivers diluted results. And if you're not focused, you're just busy being busy. Not effective, not driven, and definitely not dangerous. Look around you. Distractions are everywhere. Notifications, opinions, obligations, constant demands on your attention. We live in a world that rewards reaction. But warriors don't react. They choose. They prioritize. They know that what you focus on expands. What you give your energy to grows. So if your attention is split between comfort, complaints, and comparison, don't be surprised when your progress stalls. But when you lock onto your mission with tunnel vision, everything else starts to fall into place, or fall away, because focus isn't just about what you're doing. It's about what you're willing to ignore. A scattered mind is weak. It hesitates, it second guesses, it loses time and energy bouncing between options, chasing everything and catching nothing. But when your focus becomes lethal, when you treat your goal like the only thing that matters, you become a force of nature. You stop chasing shortcuts and start mastering your path. You stop saying yes to everything and start saying no to anything that doesn't fuel your fire. That's how a warrior builds momentum, by cutting out the noise and doubling down on what moves the needle. The power of focus is in its simplicity. You don't need to do more. You need to do less better. You need to go deeper, not wider. You need to eliminate, not accumulate. Every choice you make is a vote. Every distraction you give into is a vote against your mission, and every time you say, not now, to temptation and let's go, to your purpose, you build strength, you build clarity, you build that relentless edge that separates the ordinary from the elite. Discipline fuels focus, but focus gives discipline its direction. It's the compass that tells your energy where to go, and once you align your focus with your purpose, your potential multiplies, you become efficient, intentional, deadly to your doubts and your limits. While others burn out chasing 1,000 things, you keep moving, steadily, powerfully, toward the one that matters most. That's how warriors win, not through chaos, but through clarity, not through speed, but through precision. There's power in deciding what you're willing to give up for what you truly want. It's not about having more hours in the day, it's about owning the hours you have. One target, one goal, one mission, the rest is background noise, and a true warrior doesn't get distracted by the noise. They move straight through it, eyes forward, heart locked in, mission unshakable, because their focus is not up for negotiation.